Just lost her 13-year-old daughter. Her 12-year-old son is at one hospital. Her husband is at another hospital fighting for his life.
A mother trying to remain strong after her family was involved in a crash on Wednesday morning while driving two children to school. 33-year-old Lonnie Anderson hit a Hall County school bus head-on. His daughter, 13-year-old Summer Anderson, died at the scene of the crash. Tonight, we are learning more about Summer and the recovery of her father and brother. Joe Hankey talked with a family relative who says what they need right now are prayers and support.
Summer will never not be missed. She is something that is truly a blessing from God.
Losing a 13-year-old daughter is more heartache than a mom should ever have to deal with. But for April Anderson, her husband Lonnie and 12-year-old boy Zach are also in the hospital with serious injuries. Michael Smith is a relative of the Anderson family speaking on their behalf.
When I continue to talk with April, I'm amazed by how strong she is trying to be during this situation.
After its initial investigation, the Georgia State Patrol determined while driving along Highway 60 in Hall County on Wednesday, Lonnie Anderson began hydroplaning.
And if you've seen the car, you could see that it almost looks as if it was hit by a train.
Lonnie's Ford Mustang crossed the center line and hit a Hall County school bus head-on. Summer died at the scene of the crash. Her brother Zach walked away, but with a laceration to his face. Her dad remains in critical condition after breaking both of his femurs, his pelvis, shoulder, and neck. Doctors are also monitoring his brain, which has been bleeding.
They're working very diligently to keep him comfortable as he continues to fight for his life.
What is unclear is whether Lonnie, who remains heavily sedated, knows about the crash, Summer, or Zach.
Nurses and the doctors want to make sure that his healing process continues to increase before we even address that with him.
Smith says Zach, though, is recovering and talking, and as a curious young boy, he is starting to ask questions. The only bit of relief for Smith and his relatives right now, those 19 students and driver on the Hall County school bus all left the hospital the same day.
It's a blessing and a miracle that, that none of the children were seriously injured.
And GSP confirmed Lonnie Anderson will be charged with failing to maintain his lane and slick tires. Hall County's Solicitor General will determine if there are any additional charges. She tells me at this time she is still waiting, though, to receive a completed crash investigation. Summer's funeral will be held at Bearden Funeral Home, that's in Dawson County, but as of right now, a date and time has not been set. I'm Joe Hankey, 11 Alive News.